Hi everyone. In this part, we keep going on prop the rest of interfaces in 4G network, and we will discuss about some models of network entity and their related vendors. What is cross-layer feature? Maybe you hear about cross-layer SS7, Diameter, or other protocols in a telecommunication. We have different kinds of protocols. For example, stack protocol, which is SS7 and diameters, and GTP and SEEP and the other ones. They have a lot of deities, but they can cooperate with each other to send their messages that are related to each net protocol. For example, if I want to send GTPC during this network, 2G, 3G, 4G, we have different nodes. Okay, we have different network entity that they should cooperate with each other. SGSN, when it wants to connect with HLR, how can we use it? HLR can send its message with protocol map, which is described in SS7. And SGSN wants to send its messages GTPC. But how can we map it? As you mentioned before, we have mapped or two columns to transfer protocols to the other protocols for sending our messages to the nodes that are working in different protocols. This working or this procedure called cross-layer. And diameter, for example, when we want to authorize or using authentication procedure, we use this protocol as triple and triple A functions, and we want to the other map between GTPC and diameter protocol for sending our messages. This duty can be done by this feature, cross-layer. Maybe you can see this feature in firewalls, and it's famous in firewalls for interacting between different protocols for analyzing different traffic and investigating the root and basic cause of the suspicious manner. What's the cross layer between GTP and SS7? When we want to send GTPC and connecting with MSC or the other nodes of 2G and 2.5G, we need mapping or cross-layer feature to transferring GTPC from SGSN and GGSN to the nodes of these networks. And the other cross layer, which described in diameter, is when we want to use policy and charging rules functions. For example, SGSN and GGSN. Before wants to send your data, they wanted to charge your billing, and they want to connect with the other nodes, means PCRF, to account your charging, and this feature or this cooperation will be done under the cross layer between GTP and diameter. That shape of cross layer can find between 3G network and 4G network. When, for example, one of our nodes, GGSN, wants to know HSS for doing AAA procedure. In this case, we need to GTPC map to diameter protocol. What is S3 and S4 interface? As you can see, SGSM from 3G network, when it wants to connect MME in 4G network, it uses S3 interface. What does it mean? For example, you have a mobile and wants to send your data to SGSM, but it can connect to MME to verify that you are reliable or not. Okay, this interaction can be done by S3 interface, and the other mobile when send its signaling control to MME, and it can give permission to SGSM for sending his data by this node. It can use S3 interfaces for following its data messages to destination. And what is S4? S4 can be used between SGSM and SGW. SGSM is used in 3G, but SGW is in 4G. What does it mean? It means that we are in this cell and we want to go to this cell. When we want to hand over from this cell to this cell, we want to convey our messages from this node to this node, and then use the other nodes that can be established in this network. So this interaction can be done by the S4 interface. What is S5 and S8? When we want to convey our message from SGW to PGW and then to internet, GRX, IPX network, or VPN extranet, we use this interface. But what's the difference between S5 and S8? As you can see, S5 is used in one network. For example, we are in one cell in our home network and we want to connect SGW to PGW. But in roaming issue, when your mobile wants to connect to from SGW to PGW of the home network, and SGW is the other cell, for example, in visited PLMN, network to PGW from home PLMN, and this interaction can be done by S8 interface, but here was S5 interface. And what is S10 and S11? When we are in cell and we want to send our messages to SGW, our data and our signaling control to MME, we use some interfaces, but when we want to hand over from this point to that point, okay, how can we use? In this case, MME should send our messages to the second MME by S10 interface. And when it can permit to me for sending my data to SGW, to new SGW, it can get my permission to SGW by S11 interface. On that previous case, MME can send its messages to SGW by S11 interface too. What is S6A and S13? As I mentioned before, we have 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G networks with their own network entities, and they want to interact with each other very well to manage all the messages that are related to GTP protocol. Okay, and if we want to use MME to connect the center, which means home subscriber server, it's full of identifications of the subscribers for doing AAA procedure, as I mentioned before, that are related to the Diameter protocol, and they can be established on SCTP protocol. This interfaces can be handled by S6A. This interface is really important, and sometimes we have some firewalls for this interface. But the other options is EIR. EIR, Equipment Identity Register, in GSM network to stores all IMEI of subscribers. This database for verifying that subscribers is rational or not. But in this case, MME from 4G, when it wants to connect to EIR from 2G, it needs S13 network. It's so important that you should know HSS is used for LTE network and IMS network. And what is IMS network? Some services can be provided for subscribers without any internet or voice or the other connection. For example, you can send your video by your message or your SMS service. When signaling control that can be set as GTPC is successful, it can establish a reliable channel for sending your data to internet or your proper destination that you want to do it. S1U is a interface between eNodeB and SGW for transferring your data to the network of GTP. When your mobile set wants to send its data to from 2G or 3G to 4G network, it can use a new interface, which means S4. For example, you are in UTRAN network, and previous you use SGSN node, but now you are in EUTRAN network and wants to use SGW instead of SGSN. So by this node SGSN, you can compare or can be compatible from 2G network or 3G network to 4G network, and this interaction can be done by S4 interface. In this shape, you can see that we have UE node and wants to connect to SGW and PGW. But how can we do it? In this case, we need a node to map our passages, our packets to the new connection or new generation. This can be done by SGSN, and this interface is between SGSN and SGW is S4 interface. S4 interface used to connect UE from 3G network to PGW in 4G network. Thank you for being with me in third part. You can send your questions to my email or LinkedIn profile. Thank you.